All right, hot topic of the day here on Monday, April 28th. I'm Robert. He's Jason. Across the pond, Liverpool won the English Premier League. It means a lot to me personally. I have a connection there. We'll dig into that in a little bit. But the question of the segment, should Americans adopt foreign teams? Jason.
Do I have to say yes or no right now? Is that what we're going to do this? I have to make a statement.
I know we're in different places here, so I wanted to get your point before if I pour my bleeding heart story out. I want to hear your
okay.
side.
We just had Ron Patel, born a mile from Anfield. I would never question Ron Patel's Liverpool fandom when he says something like, "I was born a mile from Anfield." Rob, you are English, right? You are, in addition to being American.
I'm a member or a citizen of both countries, born on that side of the pond, introduced to Liverpool by my grandfather as a 4 or 5-year-old, showing me the tapes of the glory days. Indoctrinated there, lived during in the 90s over there during Liverpool's decline, essentially. But it was a tearful one because it reminded me a lot of my grandfather. A lot of memories of seeing him showing me those tapes, and there is a connection, I guess. Long story short, there's a connection.
Of course, you went long because it's emotional for you. I get it, but that's that I would never question, right? I would never question your connection to Liverpool through your grandfather, Ron's through where he was born, and this applies to Americans who are not also English, right? When it comes to our big sports here, right? I'm a Denver Broncos fan. I've never lived in Denver, but my parents are both from Denver, and my grandfather had me on his knee talking about the Broncos. He was a season ticket holder the year they started in the AFL. Go look at the history. They were terrible. So that man committed to a terrible, terrible football team. And then I had to be a fan of that team when I figured out what football was. I had no choice, right? I don't think of it as a choice. It was given to me. It was a gift that was handed down to me, just like your Liverpool fandom is handed down for me. And I think that is the purest form of sports fandom. And I think we could easily turn it into it's the only legitimate form of sports fandom. If you want to go into that direction, you could make that argument, right? And my story as a sports fan, and then subsequently as a broadcaster and a writer and somebody who works in sports, my attitude used to be very judgmental. I used to say things like,
you were judgmental and gatekeeping about something? You get out of town.
Oh, come on. I generally try not to be, but that's the thing. I was somebody who would judge you if you said, "Oh, I'm a fan of the San Francisco 49ers." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, you were in Northern Virginia. Why are you a fan of the San Francisco 49ers?" And "Oh, well, I like Joe Montana." "Oh, yeah, you like Joe Montana? You like Jerry Rice?
They're good.
You like Ronnie Lott? Okay, good for you. Why you liked winning Super Bowls?" Right? That's why you're a Niners fan. Now, this obviously sets me in time that I'm saying Niners, but the Bulls of the 90s, right? So many young kids became Bulls fans because the Bulls were winning. And I guess if you're a kid and you do it and you adopt a team because it's fun to win, it's a little less of a problem for old Jason than if it's like, I'm just going to attach myself to the winningest team, right? The English have words for these things, right?
A glory supporter. Yeah. And when I moved to England in the mid-90s, the first year I was there, Blackburn Rovers won the Premier League. And I remember people were literally militantly like, if you see a Blackburn supporter, let's beat him. He's a glory supporter, because there was nobody outside of Blackburn that was a Blackburn supporter.
Yeah. You're a glory hunter, or we would say a fair weather fan here in the U.S. When people change teams, like, "Oh, you're only a fan of that team while they're winning. You were a fan of the Yankees of the 90s, but as soon as they stopped winning, you're not a Yankees fan anymore. You were a fan of the Cowboys in the 90s. As soon as they stopped winning, you're not a Cowboys fan anymore." And this kind of leads into our discussion about how we choose our teams if we are not English, born in Liverpool, whatever it might be. I don't have any connection to the old country, right? I don't have any family I can point to and say they came over and they're from here. And obviously, like that is like, oh, well, my great-grandfather came from Glasgow, or my great-grandfather came from Liverpool. My great-grandfather left Portsmouth or whatever it was, or London, lived in. I suppose you could choose something because of those things, if you had any sense of who your great-grandfather might have supported. I don't have that. So when it came to foreign clubs, I never felt a tug. Nothing was gifted to me. Nothing was handed down from my grandfather. Nothing was birthright. It was only, well, if I decide to support a team, I have to make a choice. And that felt wrong because I had already judged the 49ers fans, and I had already judged the Bulls fans, and I already judged the Yankees fans. Again, you can also be a legitimate Bulls fan, Niners fan, or Yankees fan. I might hate you for that, or sports hate you, but I would get it if you're, if you're from New York, you're from San Francisco, whatever it is. So I didn't know how I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how, Rob, to become a fan of a team without having some reason that felt legitimate to me. And again, this is also kind of a malleable thing, and we turn it to whatever purposes it serves for us. Now, I ultimately picked Fulham. I picked Fulham. And I picked Fulham for a couple reasons. Number one, Fulham has an American kind of flavor to it. There's an American owner, but beyond that, there are lots of Americans who played for Fulham. Fulham was a home for American players when we didn't have a lot of players in England. And so it felt kind of nice to jump on board that. But I also was actively avoiding glory hunting.
You've done that, Jason.
I actively chose a team that I knew I would not be accused of only picking that team because of winning. But now I'm in a box. Right now I'm stuck in a box of my own making. And it's like, well, maybe Fulham never wins a trophy while I'm a fan. And that's a tough pill to swallow. So when we talk about people choosing teams, I can't say no, don't pick one. I've just done it. But I guess it is that thing of, does it feel the way sports is supposed to feel? And if you don't have any other option, like it's either be a general soccer fan and don't pick a team, or pick a team and be accused of doing it for the quote unquote wrong reasons. I guess a lot of people would rather pick a team because then you actively feel connected to the game in a way you can't if you're just like, well, I watch the Premier League every weekend and whatever's on.
Well, fandom and adopting a team is a personal thing. And the point that I'm glad you made was being malleable, because like I said, I was indoctrinated in Liverpool fandom by my grandfather, showed me all the tapes of the glory days when we visited when I was very young. And when I lived there, I saw Liverpool win the Coca-Cola Cup. And that seemed like a big deal at the time. As an 8-year-old, the League Cup seemed like a huge deal because that was the only thing I'd ever seen, live winning. But so go years and years and years, obviously. And then so when Liverpool won yesterday, I was with my dad, and then we were kind of basking in the afterglow of it. And we kind of were rehashing all the painful moments leading to this surprise moment of almost relief and joy. Vincent Kompany hit a rocket shot to secure the title in 18 or 19 when Liverpool were 98 points or something that year. And then obviously the Gerrard slip. And then there's a couple of occasions where just brutally, getting second place when it seemed like this was the year. And then it finally happened when almost no one was expecting it. But the point of being malleable, this Liverpool has been my team unquestionably my whole life. But when a local team started in my backyard, that loyalty almost instantly after the first game became divided. So I think being able to be malleable and open, especially in the days we're living in where teams are popping up left and right, professional clubs are filling in, being malleable. So I am a Liverpool guy, but my local team has almost surpassed that.
This is something that I think is fascinating in this moment, right? And we live in a connected world where if I pay a little bit of money a month, I can watch a foreign club of my choosing that I have attached myself to. I can watch every game. I can choose to do that. Right? I can watch Fulham every weekend if I want to watch Fulham. I can watch. I went to Spain last year, bought an Atleti shirt, said, "Oh, I'm going to follow Atleti." I'm not saying it the same way connected to Atleti that I am to Fulham. I'll admit to that. But it's still it's cool if Atleti wins because I felt some sort of connection to Atleti. I could choose to watch those games. This was not something anybody could do 30 years ago.
Right.
This is not something anybody you might say I want to be a fan of some team overseas, but you wouldn't be able to follow them this way. The people who were fans of foreign clubs back then were expats or people like you who have a connection through family. And I was a Liverpool fan in the night. And like you said, it took extra effort to go and see things happening and I don't know, that part of it cheapens the relationship a little bit. Even as I acknowledge I engage with it myself, it's different. I mean, for me, I want to go to London. I want to see Fulham play at Craven Cottage. I do. But I can remember being a kid being so desperate to get to Mile High Stadium. Like, it was my mecca, right? It was the place I had to go. I had to visit, or I wouldn't feel like a real fan. And I don't know that that's the way people think of sports fandom anymore, Rob. You can be very removed, and it leads to conversations about whether or not leagues should play meaningful matches in other countries, right? I've been on the radio before, and I don't like that. I don't like that idea. I don't like La Liga thinking about playing games in America that count towards La Liga standings. I don't like Serie A trying to do this. I don't think you should hurt the fans locally to serve fans abroad. That's just the way I feel about this, because I think the heart and soul of sports is the local community around the club. And I had people call up the radio show and say, no, I'm a fan as much as they are. I want to see the team here. Bring the team here. Why should I have to suffer as a fan? And I'm like, wait a second. This feels very wrong to me. The team was always based there. When you chose to support them, you knew where they play their games. So if you want to be a fan, get your plane ticket, buy your seats, and go see them play. If you want to feel connected that way, don't ask the game to come to you. You have to go to the game.
Yeah, I'll be fair. I mean, as much fun as yesterday was and as good as it felt, I did feel a little detached. I mean, I'm thousands of miles away from Liverpool and everyone's supporting there. And I mean, they are partying and celebrating in the neighborhood, in and around it. And to ask to take that away from that neighborhood where they are is a bit rich, to your point there, Jason. But hey, number 20, should we move on? But should continue the conversation in the chat. I think we're done here for the day, but continue the conversation in the chat. Should Americans adopt foreign teams?
Yeah, I would like to put a little spin on this, right? And again, we're opening a question. We're not accusing people who choose clubs in foreign leagues of being wrong about it, right? And I have stopped being that judgy guy, because I think you got to come to the game whatever way you can, especially our sport, especially soccer, because of the way we think about it in the United States. It's much tougher to kind of get to that place. There aren't families handing down fandom for clubs. Even MLS clubs, we're talking about maybe a second generation getting indoctrinated now. We're still very early in that process. Your grandfather cannot say, well, I went to Galaxy games back. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing.
Not yet.
We kind of have to be, it can't be as organic. It's just impossible for it to be as organic. So I don't want to be overly judgy, but I guess I want to know if people feel like their connection to a foreign club, if they don't have something like Rob's family to bring them to it, can feel as legitimate, as romantic, as real as the fandom you might have for the football team from wherever you are, the baseball team, the basketball team, whatever it might be. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I hope those, even though if you support someone overseas, with the American landscape filling out and adding more teams, hopefully your heart is still open to adopt that local team if one, is created in your area. But I think that does it for our live show today. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do so now. Then tell your friends and family to follow suit. This show gets richer. YouTube gives us more possibilities, spreads the word more with more subscribers and more views, more comments. Chat's been great today. Thank you guys for that. There's memberships now for Morning Kickaround. Join the MK Ultras. You can join that allows you access to the Discord, priority commenting, early access to the videos, badges, stickers, and many more benefits. You can follow along on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. We've gotten a few good ones. Need to reply to those, but thank you for writing in those notes.
It's the only club I care about, Rob. I just want to throw this in. This is where my heart and soul lies. Master Shake Football Club.
Hey, is Rumham FC still a club? I want to see a Rumham FC versus the Shake Shack there.
Do you know Aquatine Hunger Force? Are you aware of what that is?
My dad owns a dealership. This is my favorite episode. That's by far my favorite part of that show. But yeah, final note, if you want us as a podcast, search Morning Kickaround on your favorite audio platform. We talked about it at the top. The next couple shows will be a little different. Jason and I are on the road for different reasons. He's going to have more fun than I am, but we will have some content on Wednesday and Friday. Regardless, I may not be the live show as you're used to, but there will be content here on the Morning Kickaround YouTube channel. So until the next time we are together, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.